Well, hello again. This is the fun part, troubleshooting. We've got to find out why the filaments are not lighting in the amplifier, which is right here. This is our amplifier. None of the tube filaments are lighting. So, you know, when I first started out doing this sort of thing, I used to really like it when somebody would say, okay, we're going to troubleshoot. And I'd say, wow, that's cool. That's what I want to see. Now, you get tired of watching cleaning, derusting, and all this crap, you know, changing out capacitors. What we want to do is troubleshoot. All right, so that's what we're going to do today, and hopefully we'll get lucky. All right, I told you earlier that this transformer here, which is the power transformer, or P101, they call it P101, isn't it? It is, no, T101, I'm sorry. T101 comes back and is connected to these prongs that connect the two chassis together, the tormat and the amplifier. And the reason I said that was because right here on the old schematic, there's T101, there's the winding, comes around, goes to this plug right here, which is P101. P101 is that right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our little old multimeter. Now these two prongs have a pin between them. There's no pin between these. This would be top and bottom. So I changed the fuse. I know the fuse is good. Let's find out if this winding's good. We're going to put our multimeter here and here. Alright, we had our leads here and here, and we now know that our fuse is good, and so is our winding. 2.5 ohm winding right there. Now the question comes up is, you know, well, how did you know, John, that you're supposed to go to this connect? I mean, what is this here? How did you know you're supposed to come here? I mean, there's all kinds of crap on this schematic. What zeroed you in on this particular portion? Well, you see that letter X right there and that letter X right there? You'll see that from time to time on busy schematics. They have a lot of lines on them and not enough page, okay? Not enough paper to finish the line. So what they'll do is they'll just stop it and they'll put a letter there. Maybe a W, maybe a Y, could be a 0 or the letter C, I don't know, whatever they just choose to use. In this case, they use a couple of X's. And what's significant about those X's? Well, I'm going to show you. Come up here on the same schematic, we're on the amplifier schematic, and you will see, I'm going to zero in on this. You see the filament for this tube? What do you see right there? X and X. Same line, okay? Let's see if we can find another one. Look at here. Here's another set of filaments here and here. Actually, they're heaters. And X and X. And we come down here. Now this 5U4 comes off of a different winding, so it's going to have now this is a filament. It's going to have a different filament off a different winding. But again, right here, your two X's correspond to all the other tubes. Down here at the bottom we have some more. Okay, where are we at? Right here. Okay, here's two more down here. X and X. X and X. You getting the picture? I don't want to bore you to death on it, but anyway, that's how they do that. So my job is to trace it from here back to that transformer, which is what we just did. Let me back up here a little bit. We just traced it from there back there and found out that winding is good. Now we need to go to the tormat, which connects into this, and go this way. And here's our good friend the tormat again, and right here is where it plugs in, you know, this baby right here. So now we have to trace it back to this power transformer, and let's hope we don't find an open winding there. That, you know, it was fine before, but when we hit it with the switch, it may have decided to crap out on us. Here's our tormat schematic for this baby right here. And you'll notice that here on the amplifier this thing is called P101, but on the tormat it's called J508. J508, a little tricky there, okay? If they hadn't drawn the picture, if they'd have made that thing round, I wouldn't have known what's going on, you know, with round pins. But anyway, that's the exact same plug with the little alignment pin right there. And it also says to the amplifier, so that helps a lot. Okay, before we do anything, I'm going just to eyeball all the wiring underneath this and where it goes. I'm not going to test anything with a multimeter. I'm just going to eyeball it and see if there's anything broken, anything touching the chassis, which I hope not. If it's touching the chassis, that means big time current draw on, I'll have to figure out which winding it is, but I think it's this one here. Not sure. We'll check it in a minute. Let's eyeball it first. Well, in order to eyeball it, I'm going to have to cut loose this little jewel there, so I can move it out of the way a little bit. I just spent the last 30 minutes or so taking my multimeter and following all these lines out you see here in yellow. It's just a matter of finding it up in here, putting your multimeter on one end, your multimeter on the other end, wherever the wire goes down to, and see if you get a reading, which I have done. Everything comes out good all the way through this winding right here, which is the 6.1 volt winding. And it all leads back to right here. So I found nothing shorted. I found no wires that had fused together. That's not to say that they're not in there. I just didn't find them. I mean, I checked everything. I cleaned contacts. I double checked. Everything seems to be good. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is to hook our multimeter up to this connector right here. We're going to hook them up across this set right here. One here and one there. This is the one with the alignment screw in between them right here. And this is AC voltage, and it is coming off of this winding right here in the transformer. It says 6.1 volts. So I've got it hooked up to the multimeter. Let me go ahead and plug it in the wall, and then we'll flip the switch. And I've got it set on a little tip of the day here. Whenever you take a voltage readings, always take it at a higher voltage than what you're expecting, and then work your way down. Okay. So let's plug it in and hit the switch to see what happens. So what we need to do now is flip our little multimeter. This will be an AC reading, and we're starting out at 200, like I said. And we'll go ahead and plug in the unit, flip the switch on, and see if we get any voltage out of here. Once again, remember, this is unrectified voltage. This is going to be AC voltage coming out of here all the way down. We're going to be testing it on this side, which we have it hooked up. All right, we're sitting on 200. Let's flip the switch. Here we go. All right, let's go down to 20 volts. We're not getting a thing out of that switch, out of that transformer. Boy, doesn't that suck? Alright, after I got no voltage coming out of here, I should have recorded it on video, but I didn't think it would be a problem. It turned out it was a problem. I was getting no voltage out here, so I decided I'd check the primary. I don't know why. I just, I had ohmed it out, and it ohmed out good, as you can see from the yellow lines. The wires were good, the coils were good. But I went ahead and checked the voltage. Guess what? No voltage. Well, if there's no voltage, then there's no voltage here, or here, or here, all the way up. Now, I don't understand that. First it ohmed out fine, and all of a sudden there's no voltage coming out of it. Well, I went and followed the lines on back again, and I came to the fuse. And I said, what the heck, I'll check the fuse. I hadn't opened up the fuse. I just kind of checked on through it. And I took the fuse out, and let me tell you, as a matter of fact, I'll show you what I found. What I found at the fuse when I pulled the fuse out, this is that 5 amp fuse that I had, forgot to put in earlier in the last video. There's a spring at the bottom of this fuse holder, and it pushes up, against the bottom of the fuse. Now, this thing here is supposed to be springy, up and down, up and down, up and down, a little bit, There was no spring action to it at all. It was jammed all the way to the bottom of the fuse holder. So I gave it a good spray with WD-40 and let it soak real good, and then used my screwdriver after a couple of seconds of soaking, and I got it to where it would. See how she's springing up and down? Not much. She's still not springing much, but at least it's going up and down now. Then I sprayed it all out with the contact cleaner, and we put the fuse back in like so. And now she's working a whole lot better as far as the fuse holder goes. I have disconnected these wires completely from this plug. I may have a problem with the plug, I don't know. Now watch what happens when I hit the switch. 6.6 volts AC. We're good to go. Well folks, I think this is one of these magic intermittent fixes. You know, I think the fuse holder was part of the problem. I think these wires needed probably brand new solder joints. And I'm not going to worry about what it was. All I know is that we now have our voltages back. And I'm a happy camper. So let's see what happens when we put the chassis back together. Well, it's the next morning and I have come out and hooked everything all back up again. Let's hope it continues to cooperate with us. I don't want to have to tear it all apart again to find out if, you know, that the fuse was not the problem. You know, I know it was part of the problem, and we'll see. Hopefully she'll fire up and work fine from here on out, although I will have to change that fuse holder later on. Okay, she's on. Well, all the tubes are now lit, with the exception, for some reason, the 5U4 rectifier in the amplifier. I just squeezed the tube pins together. I ohmed out the filament leads. They're good. I gave it a good cleaning with alcohol and a pipe cleaner. I tell you, all the tubes are lit except, now it was lit last night. Now I don't know why all of a sudden it doesn't want to light. Anyway, we're going I have to tear it apart again and look at the amplifier this time. Until next time, this is John.